1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, hello, internet world. This is Norma Joe. Check it out. My computer charger miraculously started working again when I brought it over to my parents' house, but it got to 93% and then it stopped charging, and I wiggled it around and tried to. Let me see if I can unplug it and replug it right now. I tried to make it start charging, and yeah, see, it's not working. But at least it filled up the battery, so I got pretty much full battery, so at least I can make this video, maybe another one tomorrow or some shit, we'll see. Anyways, I'm back to low camera quality. There's my red beret right there and shit like that. You can see my makeup vaguely. God, using my phone just reminded me how fucking terrible this camera is, but I like this terribleness because even though it makes me look like I'm in the fucking Smells Like Teen Spirit music video right now. It's totally washed out and shit. At least it's easy for computers to process. Because the phone videos just take about 1,000 years to upload, and I couldn't email them to myself because fucking they were too big and shit like that. Anyways, let me make one more little video. Okay, where was I? Cutter, you get away from me. Don't bloody touch me, you hear? I seen what happened to those dogs you experimented on. I won't let it happen to me. Scientist. Oh, but I have such hopes for you. Such plans. Don't you want to leave your past behind? All your worries and woes? What better way than to leave your body itself? Cutter. Get away from me. Scientist, more aggressively. Come here. He dashed. I should have done the scorpion voice, but that would have been out of place. He chases him around again, violently. The two of them knocking over test tubes and beakers and shit from the tables. Well, that's nice. Just ruin all his work. Then Cutter accidentally runs into a chair and stumbles over it, and in the time it takes him, the scientist catches up to him. He grabs him by the collar of his shirt. They get into a big-ass violent grappling match. Each one desperately trying to overpower the other, as if his life depends on it. Then, in his fervor, the scientist grabs a bottle off the countertop and smashes it over Cutter's head. Oh god. Brain damage, people. He immediately knocks out and drops down lifeless on the floor. I was reading The Shining book. I really wanted to read it, but I honestly kind of hate it. And, I don't know. It has its place, obviously. More famous than anything I'll ever write, that's for fucking sure. But I just don't really like it that much, man. It's too much drama. It's I was kind of hoping it would be more paranormal centered and more horror, fun horror. But it's more oh, this is the real life horror of a family not getting along. It's like, if I want to see that, I can watch fucking Lifetime or some shit, or some of these dramas and shit my family watches. It's called escapism, but anyways, whatever. Where was I with that shit? Oh yeah, Jack got hit over the head with a fucking wine bottle, which already that alone could have killed him, but he was fucking fine. He didn't seem to have a concussion or anything. And, he wasn't bleeding or anything, which is bullshit. He would have been bleeding like a fucking stuck pig if he got hit in the head. And then, but he was fine. He got right back up and started grabbing his mallet, trying to kill people and shit. I mean, I guess you could say the ghosts or whatever, the power of the hotel has given him, supernatural strength or some shit. There's always excuses, but anyways, after that, he got stabbed, in the motherfucking liver or something, he got stabbed, right in the side, I think, is what they said, and he was bleeding out, all over the floor, and I'm like, this guy has to be dead. But I know he's not, because I know, I've had the Shining book spoiled for me, many times, so I know what happens, and that's not the end of him, but it's just, how does he survive in all this shit? Anyways, let's go to my much less gooder story or whatever. Okay, where was I? He smashes it over Cutter's head. He immediately knocks out and drops down lifeless on the floor. Scientist, panting hard. He wipes some spit off the back of his mouth with his hand. I was gonna do it if it was like a forehead like this, but I don't want to smear my lipstick. Maybe at the end, because I'm gonna get right in the shower. He looks at Cutter on the floor. See, was that so hard? God, I must have been stoned writing that line. It all goes to black. Cutter, voiceover. Unfortunately, my friendship with the young doctor was cut short rather suddenly. Cut to Cutter waking up drowsily from laying on the scientist's table. At first we see from his point of view, of course. We see the scientist back against the wall. He's shaking and wide-eyed. His fingers are all tangled in his hair. And a bunch of his lab equipment is knocked over and in a mess. Yeah, because they had a big old fight earlier. No, I think this is supposed to be another day or something, or maybe later, like hours later, I don't know. Papers are strewn all over the place. He looks like he's having a nervous breakdown. Cutter, disoriented. Huh? Then we see Cutter from a third-person point of view. He's all invisible, but he still has his clothes on, and they're obviously visible. Cutter slowly approaches the scientist. What's going on? The scientist, talking to himself. Wrong, wrong, wrong. All my calculations. All my life's work. Yeah, ain't that a bitch? It isn't right. It isn't fair. All my work. It's all come to nothing. None of it makes any sense. Hey man, you just gotta roll with the punches. Sometimes you start your life as a promising young artist, and all your teachers and parents and everything tell you, oh, you're so great and life is good. And then you hit the wall when you're like fucking 13, and then no one gives a fuck about you, and then you gotta get a real job, and you drop out of college, and then you do a string of shitty jobs, and then you get one good job, but it's a temporary one. Then you gotta go back to the real jobs. And then you just keep going from job to job, and then before you know it, like, fucking 12 years went by, and you're like, what the fuck happened? Anyways, where was I? Cutter, what are you talking about? Yeah. Scientist finally looks at him. It wasn't supposed to be like this. You were supposed to leave your body. And you did. But you still have physical form. How? It doesn't make any sense. He half sobs and half hiccups. I guess something like that. He looks at the wall. What is a man, anyway? Just a miserable little wench in a world he has no business being in the first place. He thinks he knows everything, but he knows nothing! Nothing! Cutter just stands there totally speechless. Suddenly the scientist throws open a drawer and pulls out a pistol. It's nice how he had a gun in his office, right? Just what every office needs. Cutter, no! The scientist sticks the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. His blood and brains splatter all over the window behind him, as at the same time the bullet shatters the window too, and it all comes down in a big, spectacular display of blood and broken glass raining down. Sounds awesome. I imagine that to be like in slow motion. Kind of like in The Omen when that guy's head got cut off and like spun around. That was always so fucking funny to me. I saw that movie for the first time when I was probably like 9 or something, 8 or 9, something like that. And like when I saw that head spin in slow motion and his long hair just like flowing in a circle, that shit was so fucking funny to me. I love it. Cutter, voiceover. At first I wasn't all too happy about what had happened, but as it turned out, it ended up not being such a bad thing. Cut to a building. Like, man, fucking Cutter has the longest backstory of them all. Cut to a building. The camera pans upwards, showing a sign which reads, Home for Wayward Ladies of the Night Suffering of the Consumption. Okay, what is that? Okay. Cut to the basement of the home. From upstairs we can hear all the poor horrors coughing. This is like that fucking place from, from Hell, and I hadn't seen From Hell. It's because I wrote this 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Had to have been 5 because it was 2016. But anyways, uh, what was I talking about? Yeah, and I only saw From Hell like this year, so. But it reminds me of that place, where fucking all the impoverished women are like, it's like a half sweatshop but also half crazy house, which is weird to me. It just makes me think of like there's like a row of cells of like people locked in there, and then like on the other side of the wall is like people like working the bellows or something. I don't know. What is it called? Bellows, those like giant fans or whatever. I don't know. Um Okay, hacking their lungs out. We see a basket with the label Dirty Linens. One of the sheets floats out of the basket by itself. As Cutter, in parentheses, now naked and fully invisible, makes off with it. Cutter, this'll do nicely. Cut to him sneaking into a shitty, run-down looking empty bedroom. He strips the bed and puts the dirty sheet on it. Ew. Then puts it back together again. Crossfade to some time later, we see Bill Sykes in that same bed, sick and coughing and hacking his lungs out, spritzing the pillow with sprinkles of blood from his coughing as his dog cowers and whines in the corner. The camera pans over to just outside the window. Cutter mutters to himself as he watches. Serves him right, the old bugger. Yeah, fuck Bill Sykes. How did he die, really? And did somebody shoot him? I think he died in Oliver Twist, but I don't remember how. I think he either, like, somebody shot him, he fell from a height, or he drowned, something like that. I'm pretty sure he died. I don't remember, though. Maybe he just went back to jail, but I'm pretty sure he fucking died, right? I don't know. I never read Oliver Twist. Okay, end flashback. Oh, the end of the flashback is here. And fade back into the present. Cutter. And so, in short story, that's how I came to be what I am. I wander from place to place. I found this house a few weeks back and took up residence. And that's all there is to be said, really. Everyone nods like, yes, that's very interesting. Like they just got done watching an art film or something. Essie turns to Fox. Essie, now you. Oh, Fox is gonna tell a story now? Fox rolls his eyes like, don't tell me what to do. But he answers anyway. Fox, I doubt my bushy tail, and it's like tail like T-A-L-E, will be quite as regaling as this half-specter's. But lend me a whiff of smoke to cool my nerves, and I'll do my best to entertain. Nada reaches over and hands him the joint he's smoking. Fox, deeply grateful, Captain. Deeply grateful. He takes a drag off the joint and then passes it along around the circle. Yeah, fucking Dorian knows how Puff Puff pass. Because, he's high society, they know all those fancy manners and shit. Okay. He takes a drag. Oh, yeah, passes it along. Okay. Fox adjusts his sitting position to be more comfortable. Well, it all began a few weeks ago. I don't remember this part. I remember the Cutters part, but I don't remember this part. Wavy fade into a flashback again. This time we see Fox all snuggled in bed with a glass of wine. Oh, okay, I do remember this part. With a glass of wine and the rest of the bottle of wine on the side. With a laptop on his ... lap. Like a modern college postgrad. Fox, voiceover. I had begun to suspect foul play within the house. So in secret, I set up hidden cameras all around, which I could monitor at my leisure and watch for the culprits. Fox, in flashback, clicks open a couple things on the computer and then sits back while he spies on his roommates via webcam. We can't see the screen, but we can hear at least one pair of people having sex. Yeah, well, of course, because it's like fucking real world or whatever. AKA fake world. Fox sips on the wine. Oh, bouncing Betty, what a naughty, naughty girl you are. What the fuck? Isn't bouncy... Oh, I know what I got that line from. because Bouncing Betty was like the nickname for some fucking bomb or something, or it's like a mine, I guess. It was on that show Deadliest Warriors when they started doing all the modern ones. Like once they started, I mean, I like the show. I like all the guns and everything, but it's like once they started doing like the firearms and the bombs and the mines and everything, it's kind of just like, okay, everyone's got a gun, everyone's got mines, and blah blah blah. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that episode was Nazis versus Viet Cong. I would love a fucking like that should be Robert Rodriguez's like next movie. That would be fucking awesome. But anyways, the guy they had these like okay. This will probably take the rest of the video to explain this bullshit. Deadliest Warriors is so fucking funny. It was a total meathead show, but it's fucking funny, and I like the costumes, because they dress everyone up at the end in full costume and basically just role play, which is like, I would love to do that. That would be my dream. But and all the actors they have for that, like I love extras who don't get lines. Sometimes they do. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is they had these judges like to represent each team, and the judges representing the not like every team they're not just the judges for that team. They kind of try to like embody the spirit of their thing, and they do it in the worst, most fucking stereotypical way. Like the worst one was fucking Vlad the Impaler. And they had these two goth guys, and they were just like the worst fucking stereotypes. But they had one of the best swords on the entire show that could literally like go through an entire pig with like no resistance. So whatever, they're cool for that. But anyways, there was on the Nazi team, there was this dude who was like, obviously probably not a real Nazi, but he was just playing. Like he seemed kind of like one of the prison guards from like Great Escape or something like that, and just kind of like there's like that stereotype of like the flamboyant Nazi, and stuff. And like anyways, they had some mine or something like that was like literally had a spring on it, so it would like come up if you stepped on it and that would fuck you up. And like it was called Bouncing Betty because it's the 40s. And then he was like, "Oh, Betty, she's a very naughty girl," or some shit like that. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that's where this line came from, or something like that. You should watch Deadliest Warriors. Now, that's a funny ass show. And they have, like, the most fucking, like, stereotypical, like, fucking asshole, idiot, macho motherfuckers hosting the show. They're like, this guy's like a truck driver, and this one's like a fireman. And then there's like a paramedic, and then the last guy's like a doctor. Oh no, one of them's like an ex-Marine or something. I don't remember. He might also be a fireman. Like, they double up, it's like maybe a fireman and an ex-Marine or some shit like that. Because they only had 4 hosts, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, the doctor was the funniest fucking character because they're like, oh, he's here for his, like, medical expertise of, like, how much these weapons would, like, fuck a person up and shit like that. But literally, like, he never says anything good. Like, he stands there in his stupid fucking scrubs, and, like, these other guys are talking about weapons, because it's like, oh, I'm a weapons expert, I'm a gun expert, and shit like that, and they're talking about trajectories, and they got the ballistics gel models up and everything, or what are they called, the torsos, up, and they're talking all these technical specs. Then the doctor comes over, like, they'll have some sword, and they, like, fucking, like, chop the ballistics gel, like, torso with it. The doctor comes over, and or they chop one of those, like, pig carcasses up with it. The doctor comes over, and he's like, this is a very large laceration. It's like, oh, really? Really? Wow, I'm glad we have this expert medical professional here to tell me that, because I wouldn't be able to fucking tell. Like... Anyways, yes. Where was I? Actually, fuck it. I'm just gonna leave it at that and read more later.